So, very good morning to you all. Okay, I am Dr. Justin Wagis, and once again this morning I'm with you uh, for giving you as the final lecture in this series on research methodology with DIP exam. Okay, so before going to the slides, let us discuss some points. Okay, so please switch off your mics and video because today we are having only one link. So recording the same. If somebody cross talk, even switch on the mic, or somebody attempt to present, click the present button, present now button, then the entire video, everything will be collapsed, and of course it will be problem for entire people. Okay. So thank you very much, and I hope that you have practiced and enjoyed the previous examples which we give last lectures. And for now, please be attentive because this is going to give a spark to how to do research, and of course with hands-on examples. So now let us go for the definition of research. A research simply means it is a careful and diligent search. Okay, that search may be a new search, or even that search can be a rewind type of searching. So already somebody has searched it, and what you are trying to do is you are trying to search it again for new knowledge from it. So that is also, or simply it is a careful or diligent search. Okay, or it can be also viewed as a careful investigation by searching for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Okay, so that is a voyage of discovery. The goal of doing research is to discover and disseminate new knowledge from a field of study. Okay, so everybody know what exactly is research. Okay, but majority of people are confused with how to do it. So let us go for what are the research type. We have basically two types of research types. One is called qualitative research, and another one is called quantitative research. Okay, so what do you mean by qualitative research? Qualitative research means it is nothing but it deals with the quality of a the quality. Say for example, if you take milk, one quality of milk is white. Okay, so same way, quantitative means how much amount of milk. So it can be 1 liter, 2 liter. So something like this. When you do research, you have to be specific on qualitative or quantitative. In some fields, there will be always qualitative and quantitative simultaneously in the same research. Say for example, our image processing. And if you go for noise reduction, watermarking, if you go for enhancement, if you go for segmentation, if you go for segmentation, then you have both quality of the output image, and you have how the quantitative analysis also. You have qualitative analysis, how no with your eyes, how well the restored image is, and by quantity we are having PSNR, we are having MS, mean square error, mean absolute error, false detection, edge properties, many criteria we are having. So which means that you can describe your results with different quantitative measures like PSNR, MAE, MSC. Okay. So once, but in some areas there will be only qualitative research. So there is you cannot have any quantitative evidences. Okay. So now let us go for the what is the motivation for doing research. Okay. So different people have different motivation. So if you take the people who are doing research or PhD degree, the first motivation, if you consider it, So most of the people have a motivation is to get a research degree along with career benefits and promotions. Okay. So for that they will do research. Okay. So this is the first thing. And when you talk, some people they have a thrusting aspire to take up challenge in solving unsolved problems. Some people always they want a creative work, or even they have the thrust to solve the unsolved problems and arrive at new solutions. So, and of course, some people enjoy the intellectual joy of doing creative work. So that is the third type of people. But the first one is, you can find that people are with more of that kind. And some people will have aspire to do research to serve the society. Okay. So this is very important. Say, for example, you are sitting someplace, you are enjoying the fruits from somebody's mic is on, please switch it off. Somebody's, say, idea will be to serve the society. Say, every man, every human being is enjoying the fruits of hardship by other people. Say, the mobile phones, which is invented by somebody else, the shirt, the fan, the ACs. So whatever we are enjoying in the current day is are all the hardship from the hardships of other people. So the thrust is to give back to the society something, so that we also will be in the contributors side rather than the consumers side. Okay, so that kind of people are also very less people. And then some people, just like first, seek to get recognition and respect in public. Okay, so these are the common motivation. So there are other rare motivations can be, but generally classified as these are the motivations. But with my experience, I can speak that. Say, our text says, say, if you search the kingdom of God with full honesty, the rest of all things will be added to you. The same way, if you do research for your passion of research, rest all things will be added to you. So something like you will get research degree, PhD, you will get career benefits, you will get promotions, your salary will be more, and of course you will get recognition in the public, and even you will get respect, and of course people will be after you for learning something from you, and you will get good research scholars. So all these things will happen when you do research for the passion and thirst for doing research. But if somebody doing for any small perks or research degree or career benefits or something, these are all fruits from it. If you search for that particular fruit, your career will be confined in that small field. Okay. So let us go for the fields where the common fields where research is applied. So the first area is arts. Of course, in arts let us take a language, so English. Okay, so people will do in research in English language or any other language by writing critics. You say take some characters, some drama, some movie, and then make a critic on it, and that critic which you write is going to be a new knowledge in the society. Okay, so take characters in it. Okay, so something like this they will do research in arts. Now let us go for medical. Okay, in the medical field you can classify research in two types of researches, especially a normal medical college or student or people from MBBS, MS background, MD background, say what they will do is their research is majorly confined into case studies of patients, which means that they will take a particular disease and then they will collect the data of different patients by symptoms, by treatment, and their health condition, and then they will write case studies. Okay, but in medical field, the people who are really creating new medicines for diseases, their aim is to uh, already there will be medicine for a particular disease. That medicines, they will analyze it for its side effects, for its performance, for its effectiveness, and then they will attempt to create new medicines, and this new so that this new medicine will have less side effects with more performance. So something like this also there. Okay. But normally, medical researchers, people used to say that it is basically in the case study type of research. So now let us go for environmental type of research. Okay. In environmental studies, it can be a species study, it can be a plant study. Say, for example, take one example like you can take one example of a small river in your area. Okay, and in that river, you select a very particular area. Okay, so collect all species, all fishes and other species from that particular area every year. So previous year also you have collected, and this year also now you are doing. Okay. So last year, imagine that you got 150 species. This year you are getting only 130 in the same place. Okay. Somebody's mic is on, please switch it off. Okay. So they will analyze the species. So now, previous year it was 150, this year it is 130, which means that 20 species are being disappeared or their number being reduced. So they will analyze the reason, and then they will inform the government, and they apply for funding showing that there are significant problems in the water quality in the particular region, so that this much species in our preliminary study it has been vanished. It is not been found. So we need to investigate what is the thing. So something like this, there researchers will go. If you go for sociological research, I am putting financial sciences also inside sociological sciences because most of them are of the same category. Okay, it deals with the human behavior. Okay, say they arrive at solutions. So imagine that you select a particular geographical area, and from that particular geographical area, suppose that you need to analyze the financial condition of people. So what you do is, it's a typical type of sociological research. So what you will do is, you will make a questionnaire. First of all, you will make a null hypothesis saying that, okay, this people belonging to this particular geographical region, their financial status is healthy. And according to that, you will make a questionnaire, or 500, even 100 or 1,000 questions, like the salary, income, their property, their domestic animals, their capability, their educational qualifications. So all these information, you will make it as questionnaire. Okay, and then you collect the samples. So minimum 1,000 samples you collect it. Whenever your samples are more, whenever you collect the questionnaire from many people, the accuracy will be more. And then once you collected the questionnaire, you convert this questionnaire data to statistical data. Okay, and then apply any statistical method to with a level of significance, say 5% level of significance. You can apply statistical techniques like chi-square test, F-test, T-test, ANOVA, slotted ANOVA, and you have specified tools like SPSS to apply this. Okay, you can use it. And then you arrive. at a conclusion. If the ANOVA value is very near to 1, you can say that your questionnaire data, what you collected has very good correlation with the null hypothesis, and the null hypothesis is true. Okay. So if that is not the case, you say that the null hypothesis is wrong. So this is the basic type of sociological type of researches. And there is one more thing. So whenever somebody study research methodology of engineering sciences, that time also we used to study these things. I don't know why Indian syllabus is not much appreciated. We don't have anything to do with this SPSS or sociological behavior type of studies. Okay, so our area is mathematical science and engineering. Okay, so in the area mathematical science and engineering, we always whenever you have to make new scientific statements, even if it is new, even if it is not new, it can be a substantially improved statement, or even an analytical statement, okay, or even a product based statement. So whatever it may be, any mathematical science or engineering research, it should have clear experimental or and. Okay, it can be with clear mathematical proof, and it can be with proper experimental results. So if you are in the field of science, mathematical sciences or sciences or engineering, when you doesn't have experimental or mathematical proof, that is not a scientific or engineering statement. You are doing something else. So you have to be very specific. The experimental proof is very, very important. So in the case of, if you take mathematical proof, how to prove a theorem, there are basically 3 standard methods. The first one is, the first and most common and most essential is proof by contradiction. What do you mean by proof by contradiction? You assume that your scientific statement is wrong, and then you derive it. You derive it to a state that, since you assume that your scientific statement is wrong, you are violating some basic principles of science, or even what do you call your maths. Okay, and then you say that all these contradictions have been arrived because I have assumed that the statement is wrong. So the statement which I made initially has to be correct. So this is the type of proofing method which is called proof by contradiction. And then another common is proof by counter example. Okay, before counter example, let us go for proof by induction. In proof by induction, you believe that your statement is true up to some level, say nth level. You have to prove that, you assume that up to n minus 1 it is correct. Now you have to prove that the statement is also true for n plus 1 if it is true up to n minus 1. So this is called proof by induction. Now proof by counter example. Somebody, this is the easiest way of disproving a theorem. Say, somebody make a statement, and then in order to disprove it, you can give some counter examples. Give some example, so x and y, you substitute some values, and then if the answer is not following the theorem, you can say that this theorem is not correct. But it cannot be much correctly used for proving a theorem, but it can be used for disproving a theorem. So now let us come to the field of computer science, okay? Or even other applied science or engineering. In research, we can classify the entire type of research in fundamental, incremental, analytical, or even product oriented. Say fundamental research means it's a new research. So you cannot find a previous background of it. Say something like, say Newton says that Now, Einstein says that E is equal to mc square. So, which is nothing but energy can be, mass can be converted to energy. So, before this, nobody have discovered that it is true or something like this. So, this is a fundamental research, or even Newton's research, say first law, second law, third law. All these laws are the first in its category. So, this is a fundamental. Say somebody invented light cables, or even somebody invented a particular processor. These are all what do you call fundamental research. And now let us go for incremental type of research. Incremental means, say, already there is a tree. Okay, say for example, image processing. Already somebody have started the fundamental research of it and introduced this area. Okay, so already the tree is there. Inside tree, there are many sub branches. Correct? All these sub branches you have, say in image processing, we have studied many areas. You can recall it. What are the areas we studied? Acquisition, enhancement, restoration, compression, segmentation, all these areas. Okay. So already these are all sub branches. And now what is your problem? You try to climb any of this one sub branch. And then inside that there are another sub branches. Like that, in branches to branches, you traverse and finally reach at a very small branch, and in that many leaves are there. Your problem is to produce a new leaf which is higher in quality than other leaves in that small branch or small area. Okay, so this is called incremental. So you are going in, you are drilling down in one area, and then in that area you contribute something new or something improved version of the previous things, and that is your research. So that kind of research is called incremental research. And the next level of research is called analytical research. Okay, so in analytical research, you analyze the existing methods. That analysis, and of course I told you, it should be either a mathematical analysis, or it should be an experimental analysis, or it can be both these analyses. So you perform it for a particular range of algorithms in the particular area, and then arrive at a new knowledge that a particular algorithm is good at some cases where the other algorithm is better in another cases. Something like this, you supply a new knowledge to the society. So that is called analytical type of research. And then finally, product oriented. Say you develop a new service oriented product, and then that will produce a new knowledge as well as a new service to the society. So these are the basic levels. So we are basically concentrated on incremental research. Now we may not be in the fundamental type of researches, we are not maybe, but we can do incremental and we can do analytical, and of course product oriented is in our teaching or learning methodology not much being encouraged. So now we can look for incremental or analytical. Okay, so how we should do incremental research, this is what this lecture is particularly about. So let us go for incremental type of research. I told you the tree. Already there is a tree called image processing. Okay, in image processing you have image enhancement, restoration, compression, like that, many branches, sub branches. Okay, so first you study the basics of image processing, like what we do in the first and second lectures. Okay, and then accordingly different people have interest on different areas, so you go to that particular area. From that there is a particular branch. Say for example somebody doing, say medical image enhancement. So you go to, suppose if it is restoration, medical image restoration, go in that, take particular type of noise, and then for that particular noise, you apply the thing. And you reach in branches after branches, say for example, these branches, the top of it, and you try to produce a new leaf which is much efficient than the other leaves, or that is the already existing leaves. Clear? So this type of research, we call it as incremental research. So what are the steps involved? Okay. So this is what we are going to discuss in this morning. Okay. Clear? So first thing is you have to make yourself fundamentally sound. So what are the things you need to do? You have to develop your mathematical skills, your analytical skills, your programming skill, and of course your language skills. Okay. So language is for describing your work to different people. Okay. So it can be a journal, it can be your guide, or it can be your Viva Voice people. Okay, attending people. Okay. So these are the skills: mathematics skills, analytical skills, and programming skill. Okay. These three are essential for people who are in computer science field. Okay, or even image processing or any engineering science field other than the basic engineering field. So next step is you have to identify a research area. So identifying a research area means it's a climbing phase. You are coming to image processing, study the fundamental, and then you are climbing little up, and then from that you have to select the branch, and this process we call it as climbing phase. And then go to the correct branch which you are intended to do research, and then collect all major top ranking papers in the literature. Okay. Meanwhile, you expertise the software like so if it is in image processing, MATLAB, or even though Python may be difficult, and of course it is that is the visualization level is much less. You can Python also, you can, that is OpenCV also you can try. So something like this you need to expertise the software. Okay. So you can, once you expertise the software and you read the papers, you can now start reporting analytical or survey based publications. Okay. So this is the first phase. And during that, what you do is you implement these papers in the particular software. So you can make analytical, you can make very easy experimental analysis. Okay. And then identify and purpose solutions to the drawbacks of the existing algorithm. You try to identify the drawbacks. So this is when you identify the drawbacks of existing algorithms, that will pave way for you to give new solutions so that this drawback can be avoided. So this is going to be this description of this process, identifying the drawbacks and proposing new solutions. You are not now completed, but you are just proposing solutions. So this is called your problem definition. This is what exactly the phase you need to approach a research supervisor. Okay. So after writing this research proposal, okay, you have to make all these things. And now perform experimental and mathematical analysis and quantify your level of improvement. Once you improved it, you quantify your level of improvement. And then according to the improvement, you select a particular journal in the field. Okay. So this is what I have given here. You study, you identify, and then you make literature survey, identify top solutions, study, implement analysis, report the analytical papers, or even literature survey papers, and then that will give you inspiration for new results, and this inspiration will you will analyze it and you will implement it, you will analyze it and you will quantify it, and you will select new, you publish your new results in journals, and then once again the study does not stop, and then once again refine your work. You identify the drawback of your own algorithm, and then going like this. Okay. So this is what incremental type of research is. So now let us go for an example. So actually, when I was doing my PhD under Dr. Krishnan Nallaperimal, okay, in 2006, the paper is published, and you can get it from IEEE site. Okay, so this is a conference paper. That time conferences was huge value, and this is oceans. worldwide, very Asia and Pacific Oceans. It was conducted in Singapore that time. So that time conferences were very less. Okay? So not like this. So so let us see how I drill down, or even I made that high, climbing process. So this is a image processing tree, and from that we have many branches, and then from that branches we have many sub branches. So in that, in restoration there are Gaussian noise reduction, periodic noise reduction, impulse noise reduction, etc., etc. Many sub branches. From that, once again I drilled down. So that is, there are position invariant filters, switching filters, adaptive filters, and in that I came to switching adaptive filters. So this area I have gone. Okay, this small leaf area I have gone. So now my problem is to improve from it. So now we will go for the example of this program. Okay. So the focus of this filter is to restore impulse corrupted digital image. Okay. So I will tell you what exactly is impulse. Okay. Impulse is a force acting within a fraction of seconds. Say you can imagine that somebody try to push a table. Okay. So it's a continuous force. But somebody try to apply the force in a short span of second and withdrawing it. So the impact will be more. So that kind of force we call it as impulse force. So here in the sense, why it is called impulse noise is when lightning, thunder, all these things happens, it will impinge the pixel. Okay, so it will damage a particular, say if you have m cross n pixels, out of which some portion of pixels will be damaged with a, so that cannot be, you cannot recover it. Okay, so what you can do is, that pixels are gone. So you have to restore that particular pixel using other good pixels. So this is the impulse noise. Okay, so we will discuss it in detailed manner. Okay. So areas of application, of course, video transmission, signal transmission, internet and communication applications. I'm not checking in this. Okay, so I'm going for. So restoration also, what is the definition of restoration? Restoration is nothing but it is a process of recovering or reconstructing an image using the priori knowledge about the degradation phenomena. I told you that it is like a medicine. Okay, say a restoration technique useful for one type of noise may not be useful for another thing. Okay, so that degradation phenomena of the particular noise is very important. This is nothing but we call it as the noise model of that particular noise. So in this case, it is salt and pepper impulse noise. Salt means what? Salt. Okay, what is the color? White. Same way, pepper color is black. So it will appear as black and white spots in the image. So that is why this impulse noise is called salt and pepper impulse noise, which is one of the basic, one of the easiest algorithm I have developed. Okay, so for my research. So here are, in the case of, in the noise model of impulse noise, there are two assumptions. I have not included the formula here. So first assumption is only a portion of image pixels are corrupt. Okay. So if this is the original image, here is no corruption. Okay. It is not corrupted. So in this image, only a portion of pixels will be corrupted. It will not corrupt the entire image. Okay. It can, but may not be. Okay. So now. And the noisy pixel can take either a very large amplitude as positive impulse or a very small amplitude as negative impulse. You can see that some of these pixels values being changed. Say here 109, it is damaged to 0. So it appears as a black spot here. So here also it is 0. Here all zeros. Okay, so all these things are called pepper. Okay, and some pixels being changed to 255. Correct? See here 255. Here 255. Here 255. All these things are, all these pixels appear in this image as pepper. So this is one of the easiest type of noise. So, but it is very common to many applications that we already discussed. Correct? So now our problem is, so from image processing to restoration, from restoration to impulse noise. Correct? So we have we have climbed the tree. So now in this particular very small branch of image processing, what are the existing methods? I have many methods. For simplicity, I have only, and for the time, with example, with implementation, everything I need to explain. So I included major 3. Okay, so major 4. Now major that period of time. Now we have many algorithms, and I also have many algorithms incrementing my own approaches. Okay, so now it is being incremented little more, but still the algorithm which I proposed still stand in the field as one of the better algorithm. Okay, so now the first one is simple median filter. Median filter we already studied. Okay, so median filter, what is the advantage? So here see this, if you take median, what will happen? All the zeros and other things will be zeros, and small values will be in the left side of the sorted array, correct? Median means you are taking the middle value of the sorted array. Okay, so and all the higher values will be in the right hand side. When you take the middle element, what will happen? That will be a good pixel, so that you can replace this area. So this is the idea of median filter. Center weighted median filter means this median filter will have very many drawbacks that we will discuss. Okay, and center weighted median filter means center weighted median filter apply some extra weight in terms of repetition of center pixel before calculating the median. Okay, so you repeatedly you put some samples of the center pixels. So what advantage is, if the center pixel itself is uncorrupted, you are, even if it is a little minimum, you have a higher possibility that the center pixel itself come as the output of the median. So that is why we apply extra weightage to the center pixel. So we will discuss when we implement it. And another one is rank ordered adaptive median filter. Simply adaptive median filter. You can find this because this algorithm is so powerful. You can find the algorithm in the Gonzalez book, okay, Gonzalez and Woods book, okay, fundamentals of digital image processing, okay, and our approach. Okay, so what we make it. So these are all we will do. So I have already told you what is the advantage of median filter, because the corrupted values falls in the extremities of sorted array. You will get a more chance to get a uncorrupted pixels to replace the position. So that is the advantage. But there are many limitations. So irrespective of the corrupted status, whether the pixel here, so here only corrupted, here it is not corrupted. There is no need to do anything here, correct? But median filter, when you apply, irrespective of the corrupted status, it will apply median filtering to all the pixels, correct? Okay. So it will affect the information of uncorrupted true pixels. And of course, there is no guarantee that the output of median filter is a good pixel, because when the noise ratio is high and it is highly uneven, in the sense peppers are more than salt, or salt are more than salt pixels are more than pepper, that time it cannot do the correct balance. So what will happen is the median which you calculate, that also may be a corrupted one. There is no check for the replacing value, and there is no it does not provide any adaptation to varying noise level. Say when the noise ratio is very less, you have to go for very the window size should be very small. But if the noise is high, you have now your 3x3 window will not work. You have to go for 5x5, 7x7, 9x9, something like that. Clear? So that there is no adaptation. You have to randomly decide a window, and increasing window unnecessary also problem, because it will over smooth the image, and also it will that we will see when we work it out the examples. So this I already told you. And now going for rank ordered adaptive median filter. Okay, so which is simply called adaptive median filter. Okay, in your Gonzalez book you can find it. Okay, in the restoration chapter, at the end of the restoration chapter. So here what we do is we initialize a small window. So initialize the window W to 3x3. Okay, so it is a very promising algorithm, and that time this algorithm was in the topmost position for many years. Okay, and nobody proposed a new solution for it, and we were the first to give a better solution than this. Okay, that time. Okay, and very good solution. Okay, that we will see. Okay. and the window size is W. Okay. So W we initialize to a 3x3 window. Okay. And we set a maximum window size level. Say you can set it to say 21x21. Okay. So that much only we will consider. That is a maximum window size, beyond which we will not do any process. Okay. And perform the each pixel. Okay. Each pixel I of ij belongs to I, the entire image. Or each pixel we do the following steps. So what we do is we collect the pixels covered by 3x3 window. Okay. So what we do is, I will just explain with this picture. We collect the pixels of 3x3 window. And then what we do is we find the minimum of this pixel. Okay. Minimum of this. Minimum, maximum, and median. Okay. Clear? And then what we do is, if median lies strictly in between minimum and maximum, that is not equal to, it should not be equal to, if median is greater than minimum and it is strictly less than median maximum, which means that the median cannot be a uncorrupted pixel. So in the previous case, you can see that here the median value calculated here is, this is 255 will be the maximum, and something 99 is your minimum. It is not equal to minimum, or it is not equal to 255, but it is greater than minimum and less than maximum. So that median is an uncorrupted pixel. So first itself you are ensuring that the replacing value is an uncorrupted thing, not like median. Okay, normal median. Okay, you ensures that the replacing value, if the center pixel is corrupted, then we make sure that the replacing statistic value is an uncorrupted pixel. So otherwise what you do is, you check whether you have reached the maximum window size. So here, imagine that is 21 plus 21. So whether you have reached the maximum window size. If you didn't reach, you increase the window size 3x3 to 5x5. If it was 5x5, you increment it to 7x7, 9x9. So increment it and do this process until you find a median, an uncorrupted median that strictly lie in the interval min and max. Okay. So otherwise, that the window size should reach the maximum level, beyond which we say that, okay, we tried this many times and then we couldn't find a good median, so maintain the pixel as such. And so that is why what we do, we maintain the pixel as such, saying that we have did this many tries, but we could not fetch a proper median from it. So we are not doing anything. Output is equal to input, and go to next pixel and process it from beginning. Okay. Okay. So once you get a good median, then only you will come to the step 3. Okay. So once you find a good replacing value, that time what you do is, you will go for checking the purity of the center pixel using the same check. Okay. So here you take the center pixel. Now what is this? 255. 255 you check with the minimum value. Okay. Clear? You check the minimum. If it is minimum is here 99. It is 255 is greater than 99. That is correct. But 255 equal to the maximum. So 255 we conclude here that it is not an uncorrupted pixel. Okay. So what you do? The pixel which you are considering is not corrupted. So you maintain the pixel as such. Suppose if in this case, the I of ij is equal to the maximum, which means that you cannot make sure that it is uncorrupted. Okay. So you decide it as corrupted and you replace it with the median, which we already computed in the previous step. Okay? Okay? And go to step 1 with the new pixel. So this is how it will work. Right? There are many advantages. We'll see with things, and that is why it is very powerful also. That is the reason why we have included it and in the Gonzalez book, it is included only because this is very much powerful. Now let us see these three algorithms. Okay, so I have already programmed here. Okay, all these things in the morning, and then let us see what happened to average filter. So here, what I am doing is, this is your old average filter only. So you remember this mask? Okay, so I'm applying only the same code only. This is okay. Remember, recall the average filter. I'm not going to explain. In this, I have only created a function. So there is an inbuilt function also that is called im noise. Okay, there is an im noise function, but this function will have equal salts and equal pepper. So I created my own function, which is add range impulse. Now, if somebody want to get the details at the end of the presentation, I will give you. Okay, and the code I will explain. Okay, so now I'm not going to it because we have limited time, and I will, of course, maybe 15 minutes I will take extra. Okay, to complete the lecture with examples. Okay, so what will happen is, this is a error matrix. So this is, don't care about this, only A. So A will be corrupted with, in this case, 0.05. So which means 5%. 5% salt and 5% pepper. So you get the image like this. So let us see, and I will apply the average filter. So what is the solution? Let us see, and then arrive at the problem. So this was the image. I artificially added 5% of salt and 5% of pepper into it, and then apply filter on this. To analyze the performance of the average filter. So what happened? Even since it is a linear filter which considers the contribution of all pixels while considering the average, you will find that there are spots where it is much degraded. But now let us go for median filter. The same case, 0.05, 0.05. Okay. Now, if you apply here with median filter, let us see. This is the same median filter. Yesterday I told you only this line is only the example. Okay, no extra. Okay, so we studied already in this in the third lecture. I guess. Okay. No, third day. Okay. So now let us run it. Okay. So now see the difference. So this was the original image, and this was a noisy image. Okay, and then what is the output? We got it much smoothened. The noise gone, but the image become much smoothened. Why it happened? Because whether the pixel is good or bad, the median filter applies. So that is the reason why it is over smoothing the thing. So now let us go for. So here I can reduce the window size also. If I reduce the window size, what will happen? Now what is the size? 3 cross 3. Okay, so -1, -1. That is what we studied there. Now I have made it as 1. No, if it is 2, 2, what is the thing? The window size -2 to +2. -2 to +2 means 5 cross 5 window. -3 to +3 is 7 cross 7, which is nothing but 2 into 1 plus 1. So here 2 into 1 is 1, 2. 2 plus 1, 3. So 3 cross 3. If it is 2, 2 into 2, 4. 4 plus 1, 5. So something like this you can. Okay. So here I have made one more thing, one more condition to ensure that it does not go outside the window. So it has to be, if it is greater than, if it is equal to 1, or if it is within the 1 to m and 1 to n range, I have make sure that using this condition. Okay. So now you can see that somebody's mic is on. Please switch it off. Please make sure that. Please switch it off. It is getting disturbed. Okay. So now this is the image, and if the window is less, the smoothening is reduced, but still some spot here and there it is there. Okay. So if I increase the noise, the things will be problem. So here if I increase to 0.1, 0.1 means 10%, 10%. Totally how many percentage? 20%. So see here, the small window cannot remove all noise. So in that case, I have to increase the window size to some 5 cross 5. So 5 cross 5 means noise will be reduced, but smoothening will be more, and time also will be more. See, noise gone, but you get more smoothened image. So that is why in between many approaches are there. Because of time, we are not discussing it. Okay. So somebody's mic is on. Let me off it. So it is. So it is Tej Raj. Okay. Who is Tej Raj? So let me off it because today we don't have any administrators with us. I have to do it. Tej RST. Tej Raj. Okay. So I have made his. So I cannot off it. So I have off it. I cannot. 1 second. I will send somebody to. So Tej Raj, can you switch off your mic? Tej Raj, TJRAJ. Can you switch off the mic, please? TJRAJ. Okay. So, okay. So let us continue the lecture. Okay. So now, so it will disturb the entire flow. That's a problem. So try to don't click your mic. So now, so we are increased and we have finished median filter. Now let us go for a weighted average. Okay, so let me open weighted average, center weighted median. So here what I do is, here I add extra 2 samples. So this way you can append an array. This is already the, now we have collected all the pixels in S. But here we have added 2 extra copies of A of ij in S. So what is the advantage? If the center pixel is uncorrupted, we are giving 3 more chances to get to the as the median output. So let us see. So 0.5 and all it will work. So here what will happen if you give 1 let me see. But if the center pixel itself is corrupted, you are giving additional preference to the center pixels, which means that the noise will be more. So this is a solution to give preference to the uncorrupted pixel, but still, if you are giving preference to the corrupted pixel, it will affect it. Okay. Now let us go for RAMF. Okay. RAMF, please recall the steps. All these things are same. So this is a corrupted image. Now I have corrupted it. I have fixed the window size, maximum window size to 15 cross 15. Correct? Here. And then for each pixel, falling from 1 to n, I am going. And I am initializing the window to 3 cross 3. Correct? The algorithm. First I initialize the window size to 3 cross 3. Okay? And then I am making FL. So actually this is not required. Okay? So that is not required. So and then I am entering a while loop, and for that I am fixing condition is equal to 1. Okay, so first time it surely will go. If I get the satisfied result, I will make the condition is equal to 0 inside the loop. Okay. So now what I am going to do is, control Z. So I am commenting this FL. Okay, that is not read it. Okay, and then condition equal to 1. What I do, I will collect the pixels from here. Initially it is 1 1. 1 1 means 3 cross 3 window. 3 cross 3 window, whatever pixels is there, I will collect it in the set S, third day class. Okay. And then I will find the median, minimum, and maximum. Correct? And then I check whether this median value, which is calculated for replacing, if it is an impulse, we checks its purity status. If median is greater than the minimum and it is less than the maximum, what is the meaning? The replacing value is uncorrupted. Clear? So what I do is I will make the condition 0. So which means I am with my current window I am satisfied. So I will stop the increasing process of window. Okay. So now stop increasing window. So now once I get a good median, which is now ready for replacing the pixel. Now I check the purity status of the center pixel, whether it is corrupted or not. If it is corrupted, I will replace it with this median. If it is not corrupted, I will maintain that pixel as such. So this is the idea of switching median filter. Okay. So now I check whether the center pixel is greater than minimum and it is less than the maximum. So if it is in between, which means that the center pixel is uncorrupted, in that case I maintain the pixel as such. Clear? Otherwise, what I do is I will replace the pixels. I will replace the pixels with the median value. Okay. So once if the median is if the median does not fall strictly in between minimum and maximum, what I should do? I will increase the window size 1 cross. No, this it is now 3 cross 3. Okay. Now I am increasing it to plus 1, that is it will become 5 cross 5. So here I am increasing it to 2 2. 2 2 means 2 into 2 4. 4 plus 1 5. So it will now the window size will become 5 cross 5. And I check whether after increment if it is greater than the maximum allowed window size which I have preset here in this step 15. Okay. So in this case it is 31 cross 31 to okay. So that's also okay. If it is not, if it is greater than, which means that I have tried many levels, but I could not find a good median, that is a condition. If that is the case, I am coming out of the process and I am just maintaining the output as the input value. Okay. And then each step after collecting and finding the median and replacing the median, I am the pixel values, I am clearing the variable yes. Okay. To ensure that one set of S does not disturb the other one. Okay, so and then I am showing the output. Now let us see the performance of this. So I have given here, suppose it is 0.1, 0.1 means what? What is the noise ratio? 0.1 salt and 0.1 pepper, which means 0.2. So now let us run it. So how clear it is? You understood the performance of that algorithm. You can see this is why this is very, very powerful. You cannot find much deviation in it, correct? So suppose if it is something like 0.4, 0.4, which means totally 0.8. 0.8 means 80% of the pixels are damaged, correct? So here you cannot even visualize an image. No, something here, but it is giving something, correct? 80%. So same way you can try for 0.9 also. 0.45, 45 means 90% noise. Okay, clear? It will take time because it will take more window size. So this was the input image. From this, it is constructing an image like this. Okay, in the 90% level. Okay, clear? So this filter clear? Now I am asking you why this algorithm is capable of doing this much. And then I am asking you, now you have to think, is there any drawback of this algorithm which we can solve about? Okay? Thinking of solving about. So this process, so you have find a good algorithm in the particular leaf. Now your problem is this algorithm or any other good algorithm in the same field, you have to improve it, okay, or you have to give new solution for the problems associated with it. Now let us go for the slide to analyze what is the advantages and disadvantages of this algorithm. Okay, so what it does, it detects the corrected signals by checking them to be between minimum and maximum of the median detected neighborhood. So it checks whether the signal is uncorrupted or not. Okay, fetches a good median. Okay, a reliable median. That median value, of course, we check it purity status, whether it is corrupted or not. If it is corrupted, we increase the window size and fetch a new median from an increased window. Okay. So the replacing value is a good pixel. Okay, and works well for all types up to 50%. You have 50% all types of images, it will work very well. Clear? But of course, there are some limitations also. So anything man-made has limitations. So only thing is we need to identify the correct limitation so that there will not be a problem. So here the impulse replacing value can be a pseudo median, which means that here you are calculating or determining the median from among corrupted and uncorrupted pixels, correct? In that case, there may be good pixels in the smaller window, but that may not come as median. Clear? So what do? You find the median, and that median is a noisy value. So you increase the window size, go once again, process the window, and then what do? You go for next level, and then fetch a median there. And that median also is not a correct median of the uncorrupted pixel. It is a median of all samples. Okay. So you have to consider to address this problem, you have to consider only the median of uncorrupted pixels in that particular window. You should not consider for other things. So for this, the impulse replacing median from an inappropriate window affects the image fidelity. Say for example, suppose we have a problem. Who is better to solve? Suppose two people have a problem. Who is better to solve that problem? Those who are very close to them. So if they cannot do it, then only you will go for next level of people. And then if they also cannot do it, we go for higher levels. This should be your approach. Here actually some pixels may be there in the smaller window, but since there are the pepper may be higher in the higher level, or salt may be in the higher level. So for that reason, you increase the window size and go for the distant place to fetch a median. Okay, so that median will not have much correlation with the nearby, the local area. Okay, so that is a problem. So an unnecessary increase of window size, though uncorrupted pixels are in the smaller window, that is a big problem. That increases computational time, that reduces the quality of the image, and so these are the problems. So these problems we need to address. So for doing that, we proposed an algorithm. Of course, this is one of my PhD work. As a basic work, the first work which I did in my life. Okay, so I not only did, this is my guide, and one more other, that is Dr. Saudia. She's my wife. She's also in the same field that we'll discuss in the later part. Okay. So when we discuss about our team and how you can associate. So now the two dedicated phases of the filters are. Now what I do is we have prepared we have proposed a new filter in 2006. Okay, 2006 it is. Okay, and we separated the detection and correction phases. First, we identify which are all pixels good, and then using the identified good pixels, we replaced the other corrupted pixels. So we separated it, the entire process, which is given in one algorithm, to two things. Okay, so we'll take. So first, you have the input image. It will go with an impulse detection stage, and you identify whether the noise is, the pixel is noisy or not. Okay, if it is noisy, I will replace the pixels with the median. Okay, if it is corrupted, if it is uncorrupted, I will maintain as such. Okay, or even increase the window. All these processes will come here, and I will the restored the value, we'll mix it with and view it as output. So understand the process. First, input image, identify, make an impulse detection, and then if it is uncorrupted, don't do anything, directly give output. Whenever it is problem, when there is problem, say in the previous case, what will happen? In the previous case, suppose the pixel may be uncorrupted. Okay, but the median may be corrupted. So you will increase the window size. But here, first I will decide whether the pixel is corrupted or not, and then if it is uncorrupted, maintain it. Otherwise, only we will replace it. Okay, and that replace also in the second step. And then first, on the second step, we replace the pixel with. We will consider, while considering the median, we only consider the uncorrupted pixel. We will not consider any corrupted pixels while determining the restore. So this is the approach. Okay, so let us see the algorithm. Now, first step is impulse correction. Impulse detection. So this is wrong here. Okay, you can correct it. I will correct it and set you when I. So you should detect it first. So how to detect the detection phase? The same check I am using. The first, what I do here, all these things are not needed. Find the minimum, maximum, all these things are needed, not needed. What you do is, you should check each pixel. So here F I am using for input image. Okay. So if the input pixel value, the center pixel value lies in the interval, same way, minimum and maximum, what it indicates? That center pixel is uncorrupted. So what you can do, you create a flag image first itself in the same size of the image, which has two values, a binary image, 0 or 1. So 0 indicates that it is uncorrupted. 1 indicates that that position is corrupted. So since this position is uncorrupted, because it strictly lie in between the minimum and maximum range, so you reset the flag to 0. Okay, so now you assume that, you not assume, you identified that that position is uncorrupted, so you reset the position to 0. Suppose next step, what you do, you should check that whether you have reached the maximum level. Okay, so if you didn't reach the maximum level, so in the smaller window, say here, I will tell you, in this window, it is equal to the maximum. But when you take this window, what will happen? Here 255, okay, so here say another pixel, say, take 99. 99, no, so some pixels like, so here, so that pixel may be, so what I am trying to tell is, that pixel may be a small value, but in the minimum of the local window, but it may not be a corrupted pixel. So when you increase the window, there is a high chance that you can get a salt or pepper in that window, so that this pixel will be escaped. So that is why we are increasing this window size. So 3 cross 3 to 5 cross 5, check once again, go up to the maximum level, and then that time also it is not falling in strictly in between, means you conclude that the pixel is corrupted. That is, set the position to 1, indicate that a particular pixel is corrupted. So continue this for all pixels. And after this, what you are going to get? You are going to get a flag image. In that, you will have values 0 and 1s. And wherever you have 1, that corresponding pixels are corrupted. And wherever you have 0, that pixels are uncorrupted pixels. Okay? So impulse detection is over. Now we use this image, this flag image, which gives you a noise map that you will use to restore the other. So now what you do is same process here all, and now what here you do, if the pixel value is uncorrupted, if the flag value is 0, it is uncorrupted. Uncorrupted means output is equal to input. Okay, otherwise initialize the correction window to 3. So 3 cross 3 we will start. And now what you do, you collect all uncorrupted pixels. Don't collect, so corresponding values are, the flag values are zeros in the set side. Okay, and then this is a 3 cross 3 window size. No, I'm not going detail into the mathematics because of the time constraint. We need to complete it in time. That's the last day. So if that size is not null, which means that in the 3 cross 3 window itself, you could able to get some pixels. Okay, then what you do? We know that it is a corrupted pixel, correct? If it was uncorrupted here itself, we will do it. Else only we will come here. Okay. So now we replace the pixel with the median of the uncorrupted pixels. Okay. Suppose this is equal to null, which means that in the current place we made sure that there is no uncorrupted pixels. In that case, what we need to do? We need to increase the window size to 5 cross 5, next level, and see whether there we have some good pixels. So that is why we check whether we have reached the maximum level. Okay, maximum level we checked it. If it is less than the maximum level, we go for 5 cross 5 and process it until when we reach. So the maximum level, correction window level, so 15 cross, 31 cross 31 or something like the previous algorithm. That time we find that we have searched 31 cross 31 window size, and we couldn't find a good pixel over there. Then we leave the battery. Okay, and we just maintain the output as the input and process the next pixel. So this is the algorithm. Okay, so there are many advantages. Now let us see how the performance of this and how the implementation works. Okay, so now this is the thing. So these are all same. Okay, so I have implemented here all one. Okay, I have made it. So 1 I have here. Okay, so 1 second. So FFij is equal to 0. Okay. Okay. So 1 means initially I assume that all the pixels in the image are corrupted. So I initialized all the position to 1. Okay. Clear? Now I have for the correction for the detection window, the maximum window size I fixed it to 5. Okay, so that is 2 into 2 plus 1. And now the same loop, and I have made it as 3 cross 3, and then I will go up to 5 cross 5. And then here I will collect all the pixels in the set S, same as the previous thing, and I will find the minimum and I will find the maximum. Here I will not find the median. Why? Because I am here. I am purely checking the purity status of the center pixel. Okay, so I check whether the center pixel is, that is A of ij is greater than M1 and A of ij is less than M2. So if these both the conditions are satisfied, I can conclude that the pixel is uncorrupted. So I reset this flag position. So from here it was 1. I reset that position to 0, indicating that this current pixel under consideration is an uncorrupted pixel. Okay. So and I will stop increasing the window. So that is why this count is set to 0. So if it is 1 only, it will come inside. So otherwise, if this condition does not satisfy, what I do, I check the whether I have reached the maximum window size level or not. Okay. If I already reached, what I do, I will come out saying that it's a corrupted pixel. Okay. Otherwise, what I do, I will increase the window size to 3 cross 3 to 5 cross 5. And in 5 cross 5, I check the same. I will collect the 5 cross 5 pixels, find the minimum, maximum, check whether it is pure or not. If it is pure, I will make it. Otherwise, this time I have maximum here, I given 2 only. So 5 cross 5, I will stop the procedure. Okay. So now after this, I will get an image F, which is called the flag image. Okay, this flag image, what it indicates, wherever we find a good pixel, there are all it is 0. Wherever we have corrupted pixel, there all it will be 1. Okay, so now our problem is very simple. In the restoration, the same as the other filter, I have given here 15. Okay, maximum window size, and then if the output pixel is uncorrupted, how to check it? If f of ij equal to 0. Okay, if it is 0, we can identify that that position is uncorrupted. We do not do any processing, so we maintain as such, finished. So we can go for next pixel for consideration, correct? So otherwise, what we do, we initialize the window size to 3 cross 3, and then we collect all the pixels. Here no median, min and all. Okay, so what we do is we collect only the pixels whose flag values are zeros, which means uncorrupted pixels only we will collect here. We will not collect the entire thing. So we will collect only the uncorrupted pixels. So we identify that whether there is good pixel or not. If there is a good pixel, we will not go to other place. And then here I will check whether it is count is greater than 0. If when the count will become greater than 0, when you come here, so that time you increment it. So at least 1 is there, 1 pixels we could able to collect in this set S. That time we replace that center pixel with the median value. Okay, and then once we replace, what we do, we reset the condition to 0. Correct? Otherwise, suppose if this count is equal to 0, equal to 0 means in the 3 cross 3 window level, we could not find anybody to solve the problem. That is, anybody we couldn't get any uncorrupted pixels. So that time what we do is we check whether we have reached the maximum level. Okay. So if it is we already have reached the maximum level, what we need to do? We don't have any option because we tried our level best to solve it. We could not. So we maintain output is equal to input, and we reset this condition to 0 so that next time we will not do the incremental process. Otherwise, what we do? We increment the window size by, here it is xw plus 1, which means that if it is 3 cross 3, we go for 5 cross 5. That is 1 plus 1, 2 into 2, 4 plus 1, 5. So 5 cross 5. Then you can go for 7 cross 7, 9 cross 9, up to 31. So same as the other thing we give. And finally, it will do this. So this process is continued for all pixels. Now let us see the output. So now here we have given, no, here this is 40, 40. Here also we can give 40, 40. Let us see what is the output. This is for RMF. Let us see the comparison. So this is the output produced by RMF. You can just recall in your mind. Now here also we will go for 4, 4. That is 80% noise it is. See, you will get much better result than the previous one. Correct or not? So even if you increase the noise, so now it is say now what I am going to do is here I am going to make it as 0.1. So salt is only 10 percentage, and here I am going to make it as 70. Okay, 70% of this is this, and here also I will do the same thing. So here it was 0.1, here it is 0.7. So salt and pepper. So here, so no, salt are more, pepper is only 10%. Okay, so what is the performance is algorithm? Let me see for 80%. It will take long time also. This RMF, the whole criteria, I didn't make the criteria here. And one more thing is those who are interested in our paper programs and other things, you can visit the MathWorks of mine. You get it. Okay, so it is taking too much time. Okay, so because it is increasing the window size to 15 cross 15, it will take some time. So that time, let it come, let the result come. That time we can go for here. So here, what are the advantages? The chances of misdetection is very less, and of course the signal extraction is maximum, reduces unnecessary increase in window size. Say now the algorithm could not stop it. Why it cannot stop it, RMF? Because there are good pixels in the smaller window, but in order to fetch a median, it is unnecessarily increasing the window size and it is complicating its process. So, but what will happen for us? We will see after that algorithm finishes. So the impulse restoring value is from among nearest reliable intensities, not like here, not like RMF. Our results are determined, our restoring value is determined from reliable and that to very nearest. Okay, so for example, solving a problem here in a front level, it has to be solved in the front level itself. You could not go for any other country, China or America, to solve a small problem. So if that is the case, what will happen? You can just imagine. It's the same thing. Okay, now this is the image, and we use many criteria. Okay, so PSNR. PSNR means peak signal to noise ratio. So this is a formulation. So you have to be familiar with this formulation. Mean square error. Okay, this is the original version and restored version. You should find out the mean square error between that, and then substitute here. You will get PSNR, and then mean absolute error. So, yeah, so these are the values. Okay, so you can verify by running it, and this is the plot of this. Okay, so here you can find that we always will have very less values. Okay, so no, this is what is this? This is PSNR. PSNR we should have very high. So this is MAE or MAE. MAE, no, our algorithm should be very less. Okay, here also MSC, this is mean square error, and this is a PSNR. Here we have very good PSNR value. Okay, clear. So this is the thing, corrupted image, and there is another algorithm which is PSMF, that is this output of this, and this is the output of RAMF. This is ASMF. We get better results. So here you can compare. So ASMF have. So this is the output produced by the algorithm. Okay, the previous algorithm. Okay, why? Because we highly changed the noise levels. Now let us see what is so this is at 95% level. You cannot see anything, but from that our algorithm is able to develop an output like this. So here also this is. So this is when it is applied for somebody asked for color images. Okay, so this is 95% level color image. Color image you have to apply for each time, red, green, and blue. That's all. Okay, so that time you will get results like this. It is so seeing is believing. Say here you cannot find anything. So which means that here is only 5% signals are 5% pixels are only uncorrupted. With that 5%, we are constructing an image like this. Okay. So Let me go back to the program and run the same condition for this one also. Okay. It will not take much time as the other algorithm. Why? Because, see, we get the same result. Understand? So the significance of improvement. So this is how we should do research. This is what we should report for an incremental research. Don't make any false claims. Whatever claim it comes, that only. So suppose if I am making here zero point 0.1 here, which means here by 0.887, which means how many percentage? 97. Okay, so only 3% is remaining. See here. So this is the input. From that, let us see what happens. So let it go in the background. Let us go for the remaining in a very fast manner. And of course, when you write papers, you have to be very cautious of avoiding plagiarism. So what do you mean by plagiarism? The use of ideas. Say for example, Newton said it is E is equal to, not Newton, Einstein said it is E is equal to mc square. So you should not change it to E instead of E. The basic idea copying is called plagiarism. Says don't copy somebody's idea as such and pretend that you did this. Okay, don't write like this. Okay, if that is the case, you are stealing somebody's work. Say some people, what they do is, I have seen in many places, including many institutions. So what they do is they will use softwares to change the sentences of other people. Right? So that is not the solution. You have to propose your own solutions. Just what I know, just I have shown you what I have did and how I have did. It is purely my work. Understand? It's clearly the incremental work. So this is how you should not. You should be truthful. Okay. You should not make any false claims. So should not use the idea of others and pretend that it is by you. Okay. Or concepts. So the mass can be converted to energy. So this is a statement by Einstein. Don't say that it is yours. Okay. So by changing the equation, say some people instead of and words, of course, words, people now thinking that words copying are the problem. So that is not the case. The idea or concept, okay, that is very, or structure without properly acknowledging the source to the benefit of, so that is called plagiarism. Plagiarism is the representation of another author's thoughts, ideas, language. Language only we are people are considered about changing it so that the plagiarism softwares like Authenticate should not catch it. So that is not the case. Please don't try to copy the idea of others. So it will be very, big problems it will invite. Okay, so now expressions, these are all things. Okay. An extreme form of plagiarism, what they will do, say for example, what the student will do, student will have to submit the thesis for the PhD or master's level. They will approach some agencies. Okay, so they will tell that PhD guidances. Okay, some people they have specialized sites. They will charge some fees, and then what they will do is they will give you something which you don't know, you also don't know, and they also don't know. They do some software to rewrite the existing paper to another, and edit it so that you cannot identify from which paper they have copied the work, and you are not expert in that particular area, and then sell it to you. And of course, they will catch some editors of the journal, and majority of colleges, if you see, many agents are will be there. They will collect some money for publication. Don't fall in these kind of dirty places. Okay, so try to do something honest. Don't try to cheat. Okay, so paying someone else and then such an SA, they will make SA mill. Okay, to do their work for them. So plagiarism is considered an academic dishonesty and a branch of journalistic ethics. Okay, it is a subject to sanctions such as penalties, suspensions, exclusions. You can see that, say for example, in our place Tamil Nadu. So I'm basically from Kerala, but working in Tamil Nadu for many years. Okay, so, PhD also I did it in Tamil Nadu. Such a wonderful place, and of course here some of the universities, some vice chancellors being mm, their degree being taken back. Okay, so because they have at the time of PhD they have plagiarized somebody's work, not by verbatim copy, idea they have copied. That too, in especially in chemistry also. So it is a very big problem. You have to be while writing scientific paper. I'm just going very little faster to wind up because we are in the final session. Okay, so so you will have a proper title. Title should be summarize the entire hypothesis of your paper. So entire claim of your paper, and of course abstract and title. Please make a rough form in the beginning. Keep it for editing. So when you write the complete paper, that time only you will be uh, you will know you can formulate abstract. Okay, so in the correct fashion. Okay, so introduction, what you need to do is you have to whenever you write a paper, one sentence to the other sentence there should be connected. Okay, so there should not be any breakage when you speak. So it has to come from, say, from where the what is the context of the work, and then what is the problem, why your problem is important, and then so far what how much work have been done, what increment you are doing, if it is analytical, what why the analytical work is essential, why the literature work is essential. So something like this you should motivate, and finally you have to reach the destination that in this paper I am going to do the analytical study, or I am doing the survey, or I am doing the I am proposing a new work by addressing the limitations of the previous papers. Something like this you have to come in the end of the, and then next session will be your problem analysis and proposed solution. Okay, so in that you have to formulate your work. Okay, and then next is of course experimental session. Of course, our research area is image processing. Image processing without experimental results, there is no scientific statement. And here, all these places don't make any false claims. Why? Because now people don't know you. But that is not the case when you get the when you get PhD, when you had research ideas, when you get new collaborations, your research perspective will change. That time, what will happen is people will start searching your old history. So that will be a problem. So that time they will project only your bad work. With the only with the bad work, you can no they can ruin your entire research career. So be honest, we try to do correct way, and of course wherever possible you make your discouraging of people who are involved in this kind of business. There of course there are many huge business involved in this. Okay, so some journals, Scoopus journals, some journals, so within 5 days they will give you the acceptance, within 3 days they will give you that. These are all fraud journals. If you can put it, but the problem is if it is plagiarism also, they will publish it. They will tell you to change the sentences only. So you will change the sentences, publish it. But somehow these journals are temporary journals. When the Scoopus index, when they do lots of Scoopus publication, what will happen? Automatically Scoopus will kick them out. And that time they will find it difficult, and they feel that it is not feasible to run this journal. So they will close the journal. Your paper is gone, your money is gone. Otherwise, even if it is a good paper, it is like that. But if it is a bad paper, it is a good solution. Say it will be removed from internet and you can be more safe. Okay, so usual structure. So of course proofreading, you can use cross check spelling. Okay, you can cross check spelling, and there is a software called Grammarly. You can try that. And for plagiarism, so accidental plagiarism is there. Say we forgot to cite a work, but we have written in our own way, saying that this person how that we should be familiar with. And then while writing the work also, we have to be very careful. We know, say for example, for me, the major problem is I am writing the paper, all my papers. It's okay. So other than that, only I will tell you. So the same writing style will repeat. So I will check it in the authenticate to correct it. But that will be in the try to make it in the less than 10% level. Okay. So including your say something we cannot avoid, say PSNR, MAE, MSc, these are all common words. Okay, so fine tune the mathematical record. This is very, very important. Say And journal editor surely will look for the rigor of your marketing. Okay? And of course, check the notational consistency, definition, sentence motivation, everything. And while journal selecting, you have to go for good journals, so that, such as SCI and SCIE. And this is also okay. But Scoopers nowadays, some in Scoopers also good journals are, but some Indian Scoopers journals seems to be much fraud. Okay. And when we look for publications, where are publishers, you can go look for IEEE, IET, Elsevier, Springer, etc. Okay. Many frauds. Okay. So ad hoc journals. Okay, it's a temporary journal. So this time they will be in the Scopus. Next time there will not be any journal also. Okay. So and indexing also and tempting offers. I told you 5 day, 1 day, 2 day acceptance. Okay. And then journal metrics, JCR impact factor. So impact factor is calculated as number of citations for 2 years divided by total number of citable items in that particular 2 years. Okay, so that is a formulation, and this is also another indexing scheme, and many fraud indexes. Okay, you can see one is universal impact factor. I didn't say this. Global impact factor and site factor. So these are all some fraud impact factors. Don't try to fall in their nets. Okay. So conference selection also try to go for good conferences. Specifically published by IEEE, IET, Elsevier, or Springer. Okay. So there also huge fraud. Okay, so fraud and nowadays tempting offers also. And then H index, I index, I will tell you by opening my Google Scholar account. So even if your research is very small entity or something, do something honest. That's my advice, personal advice. You can make it. So all these publications are in the sorted array. Okay, so these are all the publications. All the publications are in the sorted form. Okay, so now what we can do is index. So here it is in the sorted fashion. Okay, so H index means the index. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so now my H index is 11. Why it is 11 means in the 11th publication also, in the sorted version, I have 12 citations, which means that 12 is greater than 11. But in this case, this is the 12th publication. I have only 11. Okay, so which is not greater. When it is equal or greater, I can say that my H index is 12. This is 12. My H index is 11 because I have 11 publications that are having more citations than 11. Okay, so that is the meaning of H index. So, and what is the meaning of I10 index? How many paper you are having that has citation of more than 10 citations. Okay, and create on Google Scholar account and researcher ID, and of course ORCID also. Some journals now demand it. Okay, so and of course careful to avoid multiple submissions. Say for example, you have a paper, you try to submit the same paper in 2 places. What will happen is, if both of them is accepted, what will happen? You have to omit one. Otherwise, it will be created. It will be having a malpractice same to plagiarism. Okay. So in this case, if you omit one journal, what will happen? Next time onwards, they will not accept your journals, accept your submission also. Okay, so they will reject it. So it will create lots of problems, and of course, that is not a good academic practice. So, and one more thing is, don't irritate the editors. Okay, so even if the journal is little late, no, please be calm and don't send reminders. Okay, frequent reminders. Send reminders only when it is extremely needed. Don't irritate the journal people. Okay, so tracking threats and anonymous emails. Okay, so that you have to be familiar with. So there will be many fraud journals. Say original journal have a site. There are fraud journals also nowadays. They have the same style. They will create a journal. So that's also there. So now I am going to stop my lecture and then let me see what was our output. So this is the output for 97% of noise. Okay. So this was 97. If it is some other image, it will give you better. Say P out, P out dot if. Okay, so even if this is the case, 87%, it will give you something good image than what you get. So I am coming to the chat, okay, chat box. You can type your questions regarding the session. Before that, let me tell some facts, okay? Okay, so I can switch on the video and I have noted the points here. Let me take the paper. Okay, so for everybody, I'm coming in the video. Okay, so at least. Okay, so now the video is on. So now the first thing, no, I have noted the paper, noted in the paper. I just see. Okay, and of course, this was a wonderful opportunity for me to mingle with the wide and the people from a very big geographical area, and of course, many places I like much, like Chandigarh, Assam, Delhi. Delhi I used to visit many times, but West Bengal, of course, Calcutta, Gujarat, Uttarakhand. So these places, our nation, of course, how big it is, how and this video presentation made me close to all these people, and of course, many people listened to my lecture, and it was a great recognition for me. Thank you all, and of course for your feedbacks, and that is our motivation, really. And then, of course, anybody want to make any future association in an honest manner, and of course with all sincerity and commitment, you know, we are always there. Okay, I basically, my name is, I am Dr. Justin with my wife, Dr. Saudi. Yeah, okay, you can get her details from my publications. We are, and of course, there in Maranmani Sundanar University, we are having good team, and here also at Kampong College of Engineering, we have good research supports, and we can provide good services, of course, good non-profitable solutions to problems also. And our research scholars, many people can know. I cannot know. I have 2 3 areas in image processing which I am expert with. Say one is the area which I introduced to you today, and I have many publications in that, our team. And of course, we have expertise in periodic noise reduction, which is in Fourier transform domain. So we have there also we got a good number of 4 5 6 publications in that. That is all good journals. And watermarking also we work. So these are the 3 areas basically work. But other areas also we can help, but not that expertise you can expect it. Okay. So you can have association for conducting FTPs. You can have association for other things. Okay. And also you can, when this pandemic is little bit over, you can, if you wish, you can call us for your institution for FTPs. And of course, for me as well as for my wife, Dr. Saudia, we got some vacancies in research scholars in universities. So we are approved research supervisors. If somebody is really interested, you can contact. And of course, we will guide with full honesty, with full assistance in research, full assistance with coding. And we will make you, we can give 100% of us in all these things. It's not that you will be doing your work, but we will guide you in the right way with the same as what we do with this presentation. Okay. So of course, one more suggestion I have, and somebody has to, if somebody take the challenge of, we have a WhatsApp group, of course, and I don't feel that all these people came from simply from vain or something. So there is a purpose. Okay. When there is no purpose, you may not have joined this group. Okay. So somebody has selected you for this thing. So somebody, if the take the responsibility of administrating the WhatsApp group, people can share. Only thing is, all the members should be very disciplined. So the knowledge which is not needed, you should not share it in the group. Somebody, if it is administrating, they can take up the challenge and they can check with Ashok, the administrator, to share your doubts, and of course somebody can clear it. So we'll make a active group of this. Okay. So you can add your own people also who are interested in, and of course research scholars most welcome. So whenever you have doubt in area which I know, so everybody's knowledge is limited, but whatever I can do, whatever I can help, if I am not busy, surely I will do it. Okay. And special thanks to my colleagues when I was working at King Khalid University, Saudi Arabia. There are many five, six people joined in the lecture. Thank you for your support and care. Although I left the institution before 2 years. Okay, so now and then all the people, it was very highly motivating for me. And let me check the chats for any comments or something. Okay, all the notes, everything will be provided. Okay. Thank you very much. Any doubts? So Anjali Lohia. Okay, I know that you are little motivated person. So it is not my choice. You have to select your own area. Say everybody has their own taste. Say somebody, sir, please topic where we can do research now in image processing and reference from we can study. Okay, reference. Okay, references we can. The majorly the book is digital image processing with Gonzalez and Woods is best book. So references, journals, books, and online materials. Online material, say PK Bishwa's lecture, very good lectures. Say he will see something practical based also. Okay, so but some lectures from IIT, NPTEL, if you see, they only give you full of very rough mathematics. Okay, rough mathematics. Okay, so and then books also, books I told you, journals of course. Okay, so now you have many sites which we can download papers freely. Okay, best of luck. Okay, so then sir planning to do research in remote sensing. So I don't have idea in sensing remote, but while processing image, I can help you. I can not help you, but any doubts I can simple things I can. But remote sensing image getting also it's not that easy. So you have to convince the agencies. Okay, so very useful. Thank you, thank you, Prabhu. Okay. So any doubts from people? Digital water, sir. Gave me for online video lectures on digital. So, Faktonama Anika. So, what exactly you mean? So, gave me for online video lectures on digital. Should I conduct or should you? Oh no, you are conducting. Just inform me. You have my email ID. No, yes. Every PowerPoint is the first slide. So you can preferably use the last one, which is Justin underscore VR at yahoo.com. Okay. Okay, preferably use this. Okay, and these two basically, or otherwise, this one only use. Okay, to contact me, Justin underscore VR at yahoo.com, and this is my mobile number. Okay, and WhatsApp number you are having, so that only use. Identifying plagiarism before. Yes, of course I told you. So many tools are there, but the best tool is of course very costly. That is Authenticate. So somebody from IEEE volunteer or something, you can get help of it. Okay. And Orkund, many other Grammarly also will have. Okay. Of course, it is your choice. Say morphological watershed segmentation is it was one of my friend was doing it in a research. Okay. Now also a huge application is there. You can do Damodaran Nechimuthu. Nechimuthu. Okay. Image quality assessments means image quality assessment is how to assign the assess the quality. So Yashodhara Kotana. So means so image quality assessment say PSNR, MAE, MSC, okay, or even the structural similarity analysis. All these things are called image quality assessment. How to assess the image quality in a quantitative manner? Qualitative manner, how we will assess? By our eyes. And by qualitative also, this structural similarity index and fuzzy similarity index, something like this, FSIM, SSIM, and then many are there. Okay, so that is also qualitative analysis only, but it is quantitative analysis. Okay, so humble request to conduct FT on digital image watermarking. Okay, okay, so we will look into it. But if you want to do it by yourself in your college, that also you can try. Okay, so you can call us for presenting, but you have to administrate everything. Thank you. So thank you very much, and of course, I should thank our people also for organizing this. Our head of the department, Angel Leva Mary Madam, she was only told me to conduct such a wonderful workshop, and she projected. She only sent the brochure to the wide audience, and that is why we could able to get this much participants. And of course, beautifully it was all over India, so that's very very good it was. Thank you very much. And I am just stopping the presentation. Okay. Certificate will be given. Okay. So one more thing. Whenever you attend something, don't attend for certificates. Certificates, what it is. The knowledge what we get, whether we get or not. Okay. That is going to be the important. But Mukhi Muhammad certificate, only each certificate that will be shared to you. Okay. Will be shared. But it will take some time because we were working for this many days, this many days continuously, and now suddenly you are at least one day. Let us take some rest, and then we'll give you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you. I'm stopping the session here, and then hopefully we can meet in another good workshops. Nice. Okay. Classification medical suggest any panel. Okay. So suggested journal means according to your work. Okay, the best journal in is medical imaging. There is a journal in IEEE, so that is the best one, but it's very difficult to publish it. Okay, accordingly, you have to find it. General image processing or other journals. Okay. So Uttar Pradesh, no, Nagaraj Sarkar, Shankar. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. How is speaking? Hello. Hello. Somebody is speaking. I don't know who. Exactly. Okay. You can speak. Can you introduce yourself? What is your name? Okay, Tamil Nadu only, right? Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, okay ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Anyone want to speak? You can speak. Okay, so not everybody. When somebody is speaking, please switch off the mic. So if that is not the case, we can stop the session now. If anyone want to speak, yes. Sir, I am not an expert in medical image processing, so I'm not an expert. Uh, but still, for some doubts or something, you can make it. Request me. Now, if I know, I will surely help you. There will not be anything hidden or something. Okay. Whatever I know, I will try to share. Okay. So now, let me stop the session. Somebody is speaking. You can speak. No problem. I could not hear you. Little more louder. Can you make it? Ah,